So, Amos, you are welcome to the tutorial on how you develop photo album using Radzen Blazor Studio.
Yeah.
Okay, so the purpose of this tutorial is to provide you a gentle introduction to web development. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now, what is Radzen Blazor Studio? Radzen Blazor Studio is actually a product that if you go to radzen.com, you will find it. Okay? So, and under the Radzen product, they have three types of products. We have Radzen Studio, which is the old version. Let me show you. So this is the old Radzen Studio. I'm starting it right now. So with this old Radzen, you could create both Blazor and Angular applications. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you want to create a new project in old Radzen, you say new, and then you choose whether you want to create Blazor or Angular projects. So, but we will not be looking at this Radzen Studio. So then, there is also Radzen Blazor components. These Radzen Blazor components, they're actually free. So you can use them in any Blazor project. So you will learn more about that later. But the main focus we want to focus on is Radzen Blazor Studio. So Radzen Blazor Studio actually is the new it can only develop only Blazor apps. Okay?
Yes.
So but it's meant to replace the Blazor the Radzen Studio when it comes to Blazor development. So this Radzen Blazor Studio, let me show you how it looks like. Just type Blazor. Now you see Radzen Blazor Studio. So this Radzen Blazor Studio, it can only create one kind of project. So so let me just do a table for you. New slide. Okay, is that one coming up? Let me see whether it's coming up. Okay, it's still coming up. So let me just say differences between Radzen Blazor Studio, Radzen Studio and Radzen Blazor Studio. So I'm going to insert a table here. Are you following?
Yes.
So to table, insert table, a number of columns, let's say 2. Let's say number of rows 2 for now. So Radzen Studio. Radzen Blazor Studio. Are you following?
Yeah.
So I'll say let me see. Insert columns to the left. So let me put serial number here. So 1. Radzen Studio can be used to develop 2 types of projects.
Yes.
2 types of projects. Yes. Angular and Blazor web apps. Radzen Blazor, this one can be used to develop only one type of project.
Yes. What do you mean example of web apps?
Web apps,
Yes.
you will see it very soon. Just calm down. Can be used to develop only one type of project. Blazor web apps. Two. Customization of code generated by the IDE. When we mean the IDE, I mean Radzen Studio here now.
Yes.
So as IDE there stands for Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment. Customization of code generated by the IDE can be difficult for non-programmers and newbie programmers. Customization of code generated is easier. Okay. So can be used to develop two types. You've seen the difference, right?
Yes.
So so let's focus on let's talk to ChatGPT a bit. So I'm talking to ChatGPT. I will like to create a photo album database for my friends. The database in the photo album SQL Server database for my friends. The database should have two tables. The first table should contain details about my friends, such as their first name, last name, date of birth, Okay, the table, let's make it to have 3 tables. Date of birth, gender ID, email address, phone number, the second table should be gender stable, which should contain gender ID as primary key. Gender ID as primary key. This table will be related to friend details. Friend details table. The last table. The last table should be friend photos table. Which contains a list of photos taken by my friend. My friends. This table should also be related to this table should also be related to friends table. Okay? So we've told SQL ChatGPT to do something like this, and this is what ChatGPT is coming on. Still busy. So, but I'm not going to run the query. Actually, it's possible for me to just run this query the way it is, but you will not understand. Okay, so you will understand in that. Let me open Management Studio and actually show you how we do these things. Okay? But we just want to use this as a guide. Okay? So now this is Management Studio, SQL Server Management Studio. So you are supposed to learn how to install Management Studio, but that one I can show you later. But here now I'm starting Management Studio. Okay? So this is Management Studio. Right now it's starting, right? Good. So do not, let me say, do not recover for this. So when you start Management Studio, you'll be greeted with this. So now you want to log in. Now you could browse for what the type of server you want to connect to. In this case, I want to connect to database engine, and these are the 3 different servers that have been discovered. There is even one bearing your name, right?
Yes.
Let's connect to the one bearing your name. Let's use SQL Server. Windows authentication will not ask for password. To just connect you straight if you have permissions to connect. But I don't want to use Windows authentication, okay? I want to use SQL Server authentication. So let's say SA, and then I'm going to enter the password, okay? So let's say remember password, then I say connect, okay? So it has connected. It is right now, it's connecting, right? Okay, good. So then when you expand databases, there's only one database there, right? Because you can see this is the only one database. Let's create another database. So let's call it, we right click on databases and say new database, okay? So let's call it, the name of the database, photo album DB. Are you following? Let's just make the owner SA. Then we click OK. Are you following? So now, after we've created the database, now the next thing we want to do is to start creating tables, okay? So let's right click on tables, then we point to new, then we click on table, okay? Good. So let's take the first table that ChatGPT suggested we create. Let's start with genders table. It's saying that we should create a table called genders, and it's going to have 2 columns, gender ID and gender name. So let's start with gender ID. Gender ID. Now, ChatGPT recommended that the data type should be int. So how do we make the data type int? You go here and then you search for int. This is int, okay? Now, ChatGPT said you should make it primary key. So you come here, you make it primary key, okay? Okay? Yeah. Good. Now, ChatGPT said you should also make it identity and 1. So that means identity seed is 1, then identity increment is also 1. So how do we set that? What you do is you come down here. So this identity specification, you expand it, okay? Yeah. So after you have expanded it, you are now going to change its identity, which is a subproperty there. You change it from no to what? Yes. So immediately you do that, it tells you that identity seed is 1. That is the starting point is 1. Increment is 1. Remember AP. Yeah. So that means that column, arithmetic progression of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be taking place there. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. All right. So the next stuff is gender name. Okay? So gender name, this is gender name. So what did he say we should? Data type say we should put n back at 50. So open this n back at 50. And it says not null, right? Yeah. Not null means remove this. If you leave it, that means it is null. Yeah. So now the last thing we are going to do there will be to save our table genders. So how do we do that? Just right click on the table designer. Okay? Right click on it and say save table 1. Then you now click and say save table 1. We'll now save it as genders. Okay? Yeah. Okay, good. Now let's open genders table. to see what has happened. Let's write, you can see gender table, right? Now say edit, right click and say edit top 200 rows. You can now put male. You can see it put 1 there for you. I put female. You can see it put 2 there for me, right? Okay, fine. Good. Now the next table we are going to create is friends table. The first one you saw, that means what it means is I'll create all these tables. I can create all these columns one after the other, right? Or if I like, I can just run the query to create all this, but I'm not going. Let me just create the stuff one after the other. I have one table called genders, right? So I want to create another table. I click on tables. I go to new. So first column is friend ID, right? So friend ID is int, is primary key. Are you following? It's also identity, right? So then first name and last name, both of them are nvaca50 and they are not null, right? So first name, you can just type NV, it will come up, okay? Not null, right? Last name, NV, not null, right? Okay. Date of birth, date of birth, the data type is date. Is it null or not? Not null. So we remove this. Gender ID int. You know they didn't put not null or null, right? That means it's going to allow null for it to be silent there. Okay? Email address nvaca100 not null, right? Email address nvaca100 not null. Then you have phone number, right? Phone number, I think that one is nvaca20. So you have this 50, you have to change it to 20. Now right now this one is allowing null, right? Good. Then let's save the table. They said we should name the table what? Friends. So you just right click on the surface and say save table 1. You call it friends, right? Friends. Then there is a foreign key. A foreign key is actually a relationship between two tables. Now, if you notice, inside genders table, we have a column called gender ID, right?
Yes.
Inside friends table, we have another column called gender ID, right? So, what the foreign key here does is that it creates a relationship between the gender ID column in this friends table and the gender ID column in the genders table. And the requirement for a primary key to be created are 2. The first requirement is that the data type of the 2 columns from the different tables that are participating in the relationship must be the same. Now the second requirement is that one of the columns must be a primary key or unique key. At least you've seen us creating primary keys, right? Now, how do we now create this relationship? There are many ways in SQL Server, but by far the easiest way is for you to use database diagrams. So, like I was telling you, by far the easiest way to create relationship is if you have is a version of SQL Server that supports database diagrams, that's the easiest way. So first of all, you go to the database, you right click on database diagrams, and then you say install diagram support. So in the dialog that appears, you click yes, so that diagram support can be installed. Then the next thing you want to do is you now right click again, and then you say new database diagram. Then I'm going to add these two tables together. This to the database diagram, then I click close. Okay. Now, when creating database diagram, you normally drag from the table where the column is primary key to the table where the column is not primary key. You know what we want to do is we want to join the two gender ID columns. Now, one of them is a primary key. The other one is not a primary key. You can see that gender ID in genders table is a primary key, right?
Yes.
In friends table, is it a primary key? No. So let's drag from here. So we drag this way, okay? So then we click OK. We click OK. The next thing we'll do is we want to save our database diagram. Let's just click Save All button. So clicking Save All button will save the database diagram as well as the two tables that are participating in the relationship. Okay? So let's click OK. So once I click OK, say the following tables will be saved to your database. Do you want to continue? I say yes. Okay, so it's saved, right? So now there is still one more table that we need to. So what we just did with the database diagram is this last part, this foreign key. Now the next thing we are going to do is we want to create the friend photos table. So the friends photo table, we also have a relationship with the friends table, as you can see here, right? Okay, the only thing I'm going to change here is this photo URL. I'm going to change the data type to nvacamax instead of nvaca255. Okay, so let's start. So we want to create a table called friends photo, right? I'm going to use the third option, which is using query. So what I'm going to do this time around is I'm going to copy this query right now. Are you following? So I will now say copy. Okay, so I'll close this. Now I will now come here. Let me even close this as well. I'll now go back to the database, which is photo album DB. I'll right click on it, then I'm going to say new query. Are you following? So once I say new query, something is going to come up. Okay, so let's continue. So as you can see, you know what I did? Let me close this again, because I right clicked on the database, I said new query, right? So let me paste that stuff. I'm actually supposed to type it. Okay, so this is a comment telling you what is being done. That you are creating friends photos table. So you are creating a table whose name is friends photo. First column is photo ID. That type is int, is a primary key, and you know what identity does right now. So we also have friend ID, whose that type will be int. Photo URL, like I told you, we are changing this 255 to nvacamax. Okay, photo description 255, let's say to nvacamax as well. The date the photo was taken, and then we are creating a relationship between friend photos and friends table. That's why I say foreign key friend ID. That is this friend ID is going to reference friend ID column inside friends table. So we'll click execute. Then you see commands completed successfully. So now if you go to Object Explorer, you right click on tables and then you click refresh. You now have 3 tables, right? Aha. If you want to see the design of friend photos, even though we use Transact SQL to create it, just right click and go to design. Okay, so you can see this is what we have, right? You know, we could have used the other method too to do it, right?
So that int is integer, right?
Yeah. So now we have these 3, right? Now if you go to your database diagram, the database diagram that you created before, you can see just 2 tables, right? We can update this database diagram to show that 3rd table we just created. All what we just need to do is, instead of saying new table, we are going to say add table, and you see friends photos. You click add, close. Let's drag it to one side so that we can see the relationships. Okay, so let's say save all. Let's save the database diagram again. Okay, now we've created our database. We only put data inside one table, which is inside the you saw I put male and female, isn't it? Let's ask ChatGPT to insert 10 friends into the friends database inside the friends table, right? Okay, so kindly insert 10 rows, or you can call them records. Are you following? Into friends table. So he says sure. You can see it's generating query to insert 10 friends. Okay. You know that the other one, I just opened the database, I entered directly. So this is the meaning of the records. So you have Evie Anderson. So let's copy the code, okay? So let's okay, but before we copy the code, there is, I said, assuming we have the following genders in the genders table: male, female, order, right? So right now we only have male and female in our genders table, right? So let's say edit top 200 rows. We right click on genders, okay? And then we say edit top 200 rows. So after we do that, let's put that order there, okay? Is that done? Do you get it?
Yeah.
So now the next thing we are now going to do is we want to insert 10 friends. We could have opened this one too and say edit top 10 200 rows, and then we begin to, then we start by inserting John Doe, but it's going to waste our time and we don't have that time, okay?
Yeah.
So let's copy. So what we are going to do now is we'll just come, we right click on the photo album DB, new query, okay? So insert 10 rows into friends table. So we are inserting into friends. Now when you want to use this statement, insert statement to insert rows, you are going to say insert into, then the name of the table, which happens to be what? Friends. Then the list of columns that you want to insert to. So we are inserting into first name, last name, date of birth, gender ID, email address, phone number, right? Now if you notice, there is a column we are not inserting into friends, and that's friend ID. Why? because it is identity 1, 2, 3. SQL Server is taking care of that for us. That's why we are not inserting into it. Okay. So now we are going to click execute, and you get this message: 10 rows affected, right? So let me say no. If I come here and I say edit top 200 rows, you are going to see records of 10 friends there, right? You can see it, right? With their date of birth, right? Okay. You could even say select top 1000 rows. It will also display the records. Okay. Okay, fine. The only table we have not inserted any record is which table right now? Friend photos, right? We are going to save that for the last. Okay. Now let's go to let's go to my working folder. Okay. Okay. Let me create a folder on my C drive. So I'll call it Amos Friends Photo Album. Okay. So that's where this is the folder. If I open it now, it doesn't contain anything, right? So let me copy the part. Okay. You know, I opened Blazor Studio for you the other time, but I've not done anything for it. Let me just I've not done anything with it, rather. Let me close it. So I'm closing it. Let me start it again. Remember, to use Blazor Studio, you search for it on your computer, right? So I just searched for Blazor, and this is what came out. So I'm going to click run. So then I'm going to say new application. Okay. So after I click on new application, it's going to tell me to choose application type. Okay. So I can choose between either a Blazor web application or Blazor server application, Blazor WebAssembly application. Now, Blazor server application is if you use this Blazor server application, it's going to create just one project for you, and it's going to use a version of .NET called it's going to use either .NET 6 or .NET 7, which is not the latest version of the .NET framework, to create the application for you. So it will just create a single project for you, in which every part of your project will run on the server. Okay. Now, but if you could also use Blazor WebAssembly application, in which is going to create what do we call it? Two projects for you. So a client project and a server project. Okay. So the client project contains the files for the pages of your web apps, while the server project of the WebAssembly project contains those things that have to do with you connecting to the database and you're fetching data from the database. Okay. So but if you want to use the latest version of .NET 8, you use this. So, and in using .NET 8, you can now decide whether you want to create either a server or WebAssembly application. But when you choose it here, this is not where you decide. So when I choose it now, I first choose this. I want to use the latest .NET framework, okay, which is .NET 8. So I choose this Blazor web application. So I'll now click next, okay. So after I click next, I need to give my project a name. So, and the name we are giving our project is Amos Friends Photo Album, okay. Amos what? So we give our project Amos Friends Photo Album. So, and then the interactivity of our project could either be server, which I've explained before, WebAssembly, or auto. So let's look at what server is. Server rendering using Blazor server, client rendering using Blazor WebAssembly, auto. So he said client rendering using Blazor server initially, and then WebAssembly on subsequent visits after the Blazor bundle is downloaded. I'll prefer this, okay. So let's use this auto. So if you are using this auto, that means it can either run as a server project or a WebAssembly project, depending on whether it sees it has access to the Blazor bundle, okay. So now the team. Now the team again. The team is, you know, you want your application to look beautiful, right? So the makers of Radzen, they actually came up with some themes, okay? Some themes that that can make your project look good from the word go, okay? So I want you to vote for one of these. Just circle, just look at them all and decide the one you want to take, okay? Some are still down, but these are the ones we can see. Which one do you want? You want material dark?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go for material dark. So we go for material dark. Then the directory, that's the folder where you want to save your project, right?
Yeah.
So so we'll copy this, okay, and say this is the part where we want to paste our project. Now, progressive web assembly, what does that mean? Create a progressive web app. So let's ask, I actually know what progressive web app is, but for your information, suppose I'm not there and you need to know what is a progressive web app. So let's ask ChatGPT, what is a progressive web application? Okay. Says a progressive web application is a, so it says a progressive web application is a type of web application that uses modern web capabilities to deliver an app-like experience to users. Said progressive web apps are built using standard web technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but they offer features typically associated with native applications. So here are the key characteristics and benefits of progressive web applications. 1. Progressive. Works for every user regardless of the browser choice because it's built with progressive enhancement as a core tenet. 2. Responsive. Fits any form factor from desktops to mobile devices. 3. Connectivity independent. Can work offline or on low quality networks thanks to service workers. 4. App-like interactions. Feels like an app to the user with app style interactions and navigations. Fresh, always up to date thanks to the service worker update process. 6. Safe, served via HTTPS to prevent snooping. 7. Discoverable. 8. Re-engageable. 9. Installable. 10. Linkable. Then there are benefits too. Improve performance, reduce development costs, enhance user engagement, increase reach, offline access, security. Okay? So look at examples of PWAs. So you have Twitter Lite, Pinterest, and Uber. Okay. All right, so you've seen some of the things that progressive web apps can do for you. So I think having seen some of the benefits that progressive web apps can do, it's good we leave this, right? If we remove it, that means we are not going to have progressive web app capabilities, okay? So now we are going to click finish. Bam. You know, you asked a question, what is a web application? Right? You asked a question, Abby. That means, okay, let's ask, what is a, you know, we talked about progressive web app, but what is a web application? Good question. What is a web application, right? Good. What is a web application? A web application is a software that runs so let's see. A web application is a software application that runs on a web server and is accessed through a web browser over a network, typically the internet or an intranet. An intranet normally is a network maybe that runs within a company. Okay? Unlike traditional desktop applications, web apps do not need to be installed on the user's device. They can be used on various devices such as desktop, laptops, tablets, and smartphones, as long as the device has a web browser. Now, key characteristics of web applications: client-server application architecture. Okay. For example, you know, we are developing a Radzen app right now. By the time we finish developing it, normally the database, the SQL server part, is normally on the server. Okay. So while if you are doing a web assembly app, for example, Blazor app, the pages can be installed on your users' devices. Okay. So key characteristics of web apps: accessible via web browser. Okay, so a web app is normally accessible through Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox. Are you following? Safari, and then they are platform independent application. That means they can, when we say platform independent, it can run on Windows, it cannot run on Linux and other operating systems. Okay, then they are dynamic and interactive. So they offer dynamic content and interactive features, often using technologies like JavaScript, Ajax, and WebSockets. Then their data is centralized because it's stored on the server. Then scalability. Scalability means they can handle large number of users. Most of the time, the number of people that use web apps run into millions. Okay, so example of web apps: email services like Gmail. Okay, social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, and Ibukun's favorite, TikTok, right? Online retail like Amazon and eBay, productivity tools like Google Docs, Microsoft Office Online, and banking and financial services, guys like OPay, PayPal, even the banks too, they have their internet banking stuff these days. Okay. Now, technologies used in web apps: front-end technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript; back-end technologies, server-side languages like Java, Python, PHP, and C#. For example, this Blazor that we are creating actually uses C# as the server-side language and even the front-end language. So most of the time, that's one advantage that Blazor has over Angular. If you want to be a web developer that develops with Angular or React, you will need to learn two frameworks. You want to be a full stack developer, you need to learn C#, at least one server side language like C#. Then you now need to learn one front end language like React and Angular. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but with Blazor, that's one of the reasons why Blazor is being popular now. Because with Blazor, you just need to know one language for both the front end and the back end. And that language is C#. Okay?
Yes.
So frameworks and libraries like React, Angular, Vue.js, and Blazor. Okay? Backend, Express, JS, Django, Ruby on Rails. The APIs too. So what are the advantages of web apps? They are cross-platform compatible. You don't need to install. It's easy to update and maintain. Data is centralized. Their disadvantages. They depend on internet to perform to function. Okay. So then there is also security concerns. Okay. All right. So we finished creating this app. As you can see, this Amos Friends photo album has two what do we call it? Two folders, right? So if you run it now, let's see what happens. So it's running. Okay? It's running. Samuel, I will want you to watch this video once I'm done with Amos. Because then you and Amos, you try and implement what is being done there. So right now, this is your app. You can see it's a web app because am I using a browser or not? I'm using Microsoft Edge, okay? Which is a browser. So it's a web app. Since it runs in a browser, it contains only one page right now, which is home, right? It contains only one page, which is home. Okay, now, right now, this application is not talking to any database. Now, we want it to talk to a database, okay? So now, in order for us to make it to talk to a database, we are going to click stop, okay? We are going to click stop. So, we are going to click stop. So, if having clicked stopped, it's time for me to connect it to a database. And for me to connect it to a database, I'll click on this data stuff, okay? This data icon. So when I click on data, so these are the different data sources you can connect to it. You can connect it to MS SQL, which is Microsoft. So you this Microsoft SQL Server database, right? There is PostgreSQL, there is MySQL, there is SQLite, there is Oracle. All these are different databases you can connect to. Are you following? Then you have REST, you have OData, you have OpenAPI. Okay? So let's use MS SQL. So MS SQL, right? We click next. So now the next thing is we need to specify the server. We are using MS SQL, right? Now MS SQL is just this SQL server that we created the database. So the first thing we need to supply is the same server name. The server name is normally at the top of Object Explorer here. So just right click, go to properties, click on properties. This is the server name, okay? Desktop whatever / Amos Akiola. All right, click and copy it. Click OK. Are you following? So I'll come here. I'm going to paste it. Authentication type. Let's use SQL login. Username SA. Password. This is password. Let's continue. So I enter username SA, password this, database. Now database, I need to choose my database. So I have two database. Of course, the database you are going to choose is what? Photo album DB. I don't want to use entity framework naming convention. That's the new stuff. Instead, I want to use table and column names directly from database. Then I want to pluralize. Okay?
Yes.
Then the next thing, I'm going to leave all this the way they are. Okay? Then the next thing we are going to do is we click next. Okay? So Radzen has connected to the database and discovered how many tables?
3.
So any stored procedure, we are not using these stored procedures. They are SQL. They are not stored procedures created by us. We don't need them. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's suggesting this name. I like using it. I like using condata. Okay, as my connection name. Let's leave cascade delete, entity framework query tracking. Let's do optimistic concurrency as well. I don't want to bother you with what they are for now. Okay. So let's click next. So let's say generate pages. Okay, for CRUD operations. Okay.
Yeah.
So after saying generate pages for CRUD operations, let's click next. Okay. So what pages do we want to generate for? Let's generate for friend photos. Okay. Friend and gender. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say we want to export to Excel. We want to search as we type. Okay. Paging, sorting and filtering, enable reload on optimistic concurrency error. Let's say we want to double click, and then we want those pages to appear as links on our navigation. Okay. Date format. Okay, let's leave this date format the way it is. You know, this American date format. Assuming we want it to be Niger date format, we'll do DD. The DD will come first. Okay, but this American date format. Okay. So the next thing, form field variant. You are going to, let's change it from none to field. Okay. Now the next thing we do is let's click finish. Okay. So you can see it's saying that it's inferring data source, right? Right now, what Radzen is doing, Bennett is the scenes, behind the scenes rather, is Radzen is looking at those tables and using it to create the forms that your users can use. So right now, Radzen is done. Let's click run. Okay. So let's see what we got. So you can see now that we have additional links, right? I click on genders. Right now, it seems as if nothing is showing, right? Okay. Okay. Suppose I want to edit this order, right? I will double click on it. Let me say I'm hermaphrodite. You know who an hermaphrodite is? Somebody who has male and female sexual organs, right? So let's add another. Let's now put order now. So now we have 4. This one is for add, right? When I click add here, so if I click save now, it doesn't allow me because gender name does not allow. No, see, gender is required, right? So let's put order now. Okay. Bam. Now when you look at your friends, let's see, these are the friends, right? Can you see their records, right? You have their date of birth, right? Okay, you can even decide to sort because we added sorting capabilities. Maybe you want to sort them from the oldest friend to the youngest friend, right? So this from, I think this is from the youngest friend. So your youngest friend is Jane Smith, who is born in 1985, right? So let's see the oldest friend, Charlie Davis, who is born in 1995, right? Do you get what I just did? Sorting.
Yes.
Based on date of birth column. So there is only one table that we've not added any record right now, which is friend photos, right? They are not adding record yet. One of the reasons why we are not going to add record yet is because this photo URL, we are going to change it to photo, and it's going to actually take a picture and upload a picture to the database. Okay, so we are not adding anything to this, but before we do that, let's add another friend. Okay. So let's add Sheyi Olawale. Okay. Date of birth. Let's say, what's Sheyi's date of birth?
October 22.
Okay, so let's say October 22, 19 what?
88. 88.
So we change this 2024 to 1988. Of course, she's a female, right? So let's then don't worry. So maybe our email address is auntiesheyi@olatubosun.com. So our phone number, right? Okay. Then we click what? Save. So when we click save, what happens? You know, we've done it. We've implemented paging on our app, right?
Yes.
So if you click to page 2, Auntie Sheyi's record is the 11th record, right? Okay, so far so good. Let's go back to our app. Let's stop it. Okay. I want to briefly show you how you can do the same thing with the old version of Radzen. It will still be a Blazor app, right? So it's not everyone that has the old version. Okay. So I'll just go here. You know, we have this one called Amos Friends Photo Album, right? So I'm going to create another folder on my C drive, right? So let me call it Amos Friends Photo Album. I'm going to call it let me call it Radzen Studio. Radzen Studio. Let me just call it Radzen Studio. Okay. You know, this one we did is for Blazor Studio, right? So if I'm going to do that, I will just search for Radzen, not Blazor Studio, not just Radzen, which is the old guy that can do both Angular and Blazor, right? Good. So now I'll click on new. I'm still going to do Blazor, right? Okay, let me do Blazor WebAssembly. Okay? I've explained the difference between Blazor Server and Blazor WebAssembly. If you still don't know, by the time we finish, refer to the video. And in case you are still not clear about it, ask ChatGPT, okay? Now, you see why you should not use old Radzen. It cannot see .NET 8, even though I have .NET 8 on my machine, right? Okay, let's use .NET 7. Let's select a team. Now, these are the teams. Which one do you... Okay, what happens is, if you circle through, I want you to circle through, but we are not going to use dark now. You know, for the Blazor Studio, we use dark. So you are going to choose another team, but it should not be dark now. So you have to choose.
Let's use this one.
Material 3 Premium, right?
Yes.
Fine. Let's still call the project Amos Friends Photo Album. Okay?
Yes.
So let's call this Amos Friends Photo Album. Okay? But the directory will be different. We are going to save this project inside this one called this folder called Amos Friends Photo Album Radzen Studio. Okay? So let's copy the path. Okay? So now then we are going to say create. Okay? So this time around, old Radzen tells you congrats, right? So let's close this. Okay? The next thing we want to do, let's create a new data source. You can either create a page or create a new data source. Let's create a new data source. So I click on data sources, right? So I say new. And of course, you've met these guys before, right? So as usual, I'm going to choose SQL Server here. The name of my connection will be Condata. I need to get the server. I'm connecting to this same server. And I click properties. Okay? I'll copy this. Okay? Paste. Okay? Now, database. The name of the database. Excuse me. The name of the database is Photo Album DB, right? So the name, copy. Okay? So unlike new Radzen that allows you to choose the database name, these ones you have to type it correctly, right? Authentication, let's still use SQL Server authentication, user SA, password, whatever it is. Okay? We are going to do installation later, not now. Okay? So the next thing we want to do is we say infer schema. Now inferring schema means it's going to connect to SQL Server, and of course, so now we want to generate pages too. You know this date formats. We enable optimistic concurrency, enable export to Excel, enable search as you type, enable double click to edit. Okay? Allow paging and sorting. Okay? Entities, pages, we are good. Okay? Then we are going to click finish, right? So it's creating the data source and pages. Now we go to my applications. Okay? So this Amos Friends Photo Album, old Radzen or Radzen Studio, right? So there's still, let's do one more settings. Let's go to settings, and then we enable progressive web apps. Okay? And then let's use HTTPS too. Okay? Then we say save. Are you following? So after saying save, let's run. Generating code, right?
Yes.
Determining projects to restore. So it's saying .NET restored, right? So this one is just telling you what's going on as the so this one is just telling you what's going on, right? It's coming up. Okay. So it's going to come up very soon. Okay. Says .NET Watch started, right? Okay, it's come up. It tells you loading, right? Bam. Right? So you still have genders data, but friends photos nothing yet. Okay, let's first stop this project. Now let's edit, add friend photo. You can see this page. What's the name of this page?
Add friend photo.
So I'll double click on it. Okay, let me close this output page. So these are how add friend photo look like, right?
Yes.
So for now I'm going to delete this text box. Okay, I'm also going to delete the required validator there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to toolbox. Okay, I'm going to search for file input. I just type file, it came up, right? So I drop it inside this. Okay, now this photo URL, I'm going to change it, the name from photo URL to just photo. Okay, then this file input, I'll change the name to friend photo. Are you following? So I change it to what? Friend photo. Now I need to bind it to a value. So what value am I binding it to? There is an object that Radzen has created for us. It's a friend photo object called friend photo in small letters. So this friend photo contains things like your friend ID, description, the photo ID, and the photo URL, which is actually the photo we want to save in. So we are going to bind this file input to that photo URL. Okay, bam. Then the next thing we need to do is we are going to look for required validator again. You know, we deleted one before. So required, you can say I didn't type it completely.
Yeah.
This is it. So I drop it after the file input. So after dropping it after the file input, I need to tell the required field validator which components I want to validate. So which component do I want to validate? Friend photo. The text will be photo is required. Okay, photo is what? Photo is required. Okay, now we need to, after doing this, we need to go to edit friend photo. Now this is how edit friend photo looks like. Okay. We need to, we'll delete this as well. Okay. We'll delete this as well. We'll change this one to photo. Okay. And then we'll go to toolbox. I'll search for file input, right? I drag and drop here, right?
Yes.
So I'm changing this file input name to friend photo, right? Note that there is no space in name, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to bind it to friend photo dot photo URL, right?
Yes.
Good. Then I look for required field validator, right? So I drag and drop by the right? Component I'm validating is what? Friend photo. Message is photo is required, right? Good. Then there's one more thing I forgot. This label is for what component? It's for friend photo, right? Then let me go back to my pages, go back to add friend photo. This label is for what component? Friend photo, right? Good. There's one more thing we need to do, and that is on friend photos list page, which contains a list of photos taken by your friends, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that thing we need to do is let's select the data grid on the page. Okay. Then we go to columns. Now the photo URL, we want to customize the photo URL. Okay. So the property is photo URL. First, let's change the title from photo URL to photo. Okay. So after changing the title from photo URL to photo, after changing the next thing you need to do is we need to edit the template. So here we are going to right click on open template designer. Okay. So once I click on it, left click. So once I do that, I'll go to toolbox again. This time around I'm going to search for an image. I'm going to search for what? Image. So I drop image here. Okay. So after dropping image, let's leave it as image O. So what are we binding this image to? We also bind it to photo URL. Okay. You click OK. Then we need to style the image. So the size of the image should be, let's say 50p. The width of the image should be, let's say 50px. And the height too should be what? 50px. Okay. Once we are done with that, we say end template editing. Okay. End what? Template editing. The next thing I'm now going to do is I'm going to say run. So I'm going to say run now. It's busy. So let's go to friend photos. Right now there is no friend photo, right? Add. So but when we say now choose friends, now these are the friends right now, right? Then there is an issue here, and the issue here is you have John, Jane, we want to know which of what of if you have two John? How do we know which one? Okay. What we'll do in that case is we are going to do a bit of customization with Visual Studio. Okay. So we are going to do a bit of customization with Visual Studio. So what we just do is, this is the project of the one of the Radzen Studio, right? So I right click on it. I will say open. Okay. Are you following?
Yeah.
So I will say open. So you can see it's opening the Visual Studio, right? Good. It's coming up. So while that is happening, let us go to let's go and let it finish opening, because there are still some. Let us wait for it to finish opening. Okay. This is the old Radzen Studio that we are opening the project right now with Visual Studio. So I want to add customization for the data grid of what do we call it, of friend photos, so that it will be showing the first name and the last name, and then that drop down where you want to choose, it will show what do we call it? What was I even thinking? Let's see what we can do to that. Okay, this one is showing friend. Okay, this is what we have. Let's even stop it. Okay, I think what we should do is let's go to add friend. Okay, let's go to add friend. Okay. Sorry, let's go to add friend photo. Pardon me. You want to, this is the drop down data grid, right? So drop down data grid. So text, choose friend. Let's see. So page number, columns. Let's see. Now let's look at the columns. Let's even say auto generate. Let's see what happens. When we say auto generate, this is what it displays, right? Okay, we don't need e tag, we don't need friend ID, we don't need date of birth. Okay, we don't need gender, we don't need email, we just need first name and last name. So let's click OK. So when we run our project, let's see what happens. Okay, coming up. So our project is loading again, right? After we did that last change that we did. What I just did was the data grid for the add friend photo. I want it to be showing first name and last name instead of just the first name that is showing, right? Okay, so here is our app loading again, right? So let's wait for it to load the friends. Okay. Let's close all the other pages. What's going on here? It's taking longer than expected. It's taking longer than expected. Why? Okay, so it's loaded now, right? So let's go to friend photos again. Let's say we want to add a friend photo. So when we say choose friend now, it presents you with the first name and last name, right? So let's say we want to insert photo for Charles David. And you could search for friend. Suppose you are on page 1 and you want to search for if. Okay, so you want to insert photo for if, right? Okay, so the friend selected is if Miller, right? Then we need to insert a photo. Well, there is a free, let's go to a free photo site called Pixabay. You know, you can't just insert any photo on the internet. You might be sued for it. So, but you can get free photos. You can get free photos. So let's say female photo. Okay, before I do that, let me even log in. Okay, so let's say continue with Google. Okay, says an error code. Continue with Google. Oh. Okay, continue with Google. So let's okay. Okay. Okay, finally it's logged in. So let's search for female photo. Okay, female photo. Okay, are you following? Female photo. It's taking time. Here you see some female photos, right? Oh, female photo. So it's quite a lot. But let's even see this iStock photo. I don't want to use iStock photo. Okay, let's use this one. Let's just click on one of them. Or if this one does not give us what we want, let's even leave Pixabay. I have another idea. Another idea is let's go to ChatGPT. Let's go to ChatGPT. So let's just say I want to generate a photo of a female that does not exist. That does not what? Exist. Okay, they said you can go to visit this person does not exist. So it will generate photo of people that do not exist. So this is a male, right? We need a female. Okay, this will do. So this is Ifmila now, right? So let's save this image as save image as. Okay. So save image as Ifmila. Okay? Save. Right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now add friend photo. Let's choose now. Okay? So let's go to downloads, right? So this is Ifmila. This is Ifmila, right? Description: photo of Ifmila. Okay? Date taking 15th of June, right? Save. So I've saved, and you can see a small photo of Ifmila, right? Okay. we still need to, let's see what happens when we say we want to edit the photo. Let's go to this person does not exist. Let's generate another female photo. Let's refresh. Let's generate another photo. This person does not exist.com. Oh, this is a mail, right? Okay, so what happens when we say we want to edit? You double click and this is what you have, right? So you can change the photo if you like. Okay. Okay, let's just use this photo. Save images. Okay, this is taking time. So the other stuffs we like to do. So you could just change this photo, you delete this and choose a new one. Okay. Okay, so that's that on that. So let's now go to Radzen Blazor Studio and do these changes. You know, I've opened my project, which is the one for Radzen Studio. This is the one for Radzen Studio, right? These are the pages now. You can see them in Visual Studio. Okay. Now, I want to do some changes in Radzen Blazor Studio, but I don't want to leave Radzen Blazor Studio. Okay. So I'll just open client project here. Now, if I open client project, one folder there is pages, right? So let me open add friend photo here. Okay. Add friend photo. So let me go to source. There is something called source. Source. This is the source. Okay. Now, Radzen form field, text is photo URL. Text will become photo. Okay. Now, you know that in the Blazor Studio, I removed the text box and the required validator, right? In this case, I only removed the text box. But before I remove the text box, let me just go to the old project for Radzen. That's the Radzen Blazor Studio project. Sorry. So I'm going to open add friend photo.razor here. Okay. I'm opening the file in Visual Studio. I'm going to copy that Radzen file input and put it straight in for the new Radzen. You know that the new Radzen 2 is just showing text box. Yeah. So I want it to show what do we call it? File input. Sure you get. So now what I'm going to do is this is the code. This is the code that is doing all those things that you are seeing. Okay. So this is the Radzen file input. Okay. So I just copy it Okay. It's a straight swap. Okay. I'll just remove this guy. That's the line 17. Okay. The only thing is that look at their friend photo here is capital P. So I make this one capital P. Should work now. Okay. That should be it for this. Okay. And I'm going to take this again. Let me save this page now. I'll go to file. Are you following?
Yes.
File. I wanted to save the page. Then let me go to edit friend photo. I'm going to go to source too. And I'm only going to change one thing there too, which is that text box for friend photo. Okay.
Yes.
You know I've copied the last one I changed. So I'm just going to change this. I remove the text box, replace it with this. Okay. Then I change this one to photo, the text. Okay. Then after that I'll say file, save up. Okay. Then one more thing I need to do is for the grid. Okay. Once I do for the grid, once I do implement the changes for the grid, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preview the changes for the new for Radzen Blazor Studio as well. Now this is the grid for the Radzen Studio project that we did. Okay, this is the grid. You know, we customized the grid. We actually made a photo to show on the grid, right? So you know, we were the one that did that one ourselves. Now this is what was done. Now this is the customization that was done, line 37 to line 40. Okay. So let me copy it. Now this is your own friend's photo that's in the Blazor Studio project or the new Radzen stuff. Let's go to source. Okay. So when we go to source, let's look at the columns. Now you can see where they say property is photo URL, right? So that is line 29. That is the grid column that is supposed to show the photo, but right now it's not showing the photo. We are going to customize it by pasting this. Okay. So now let's say file, save up. Okay. So let's click run. So after we run this and everything is fine, we will stop this project for now. And then you go and you find a way of practicing what you've been taught. Okay. Okay. I hope this guy is not running. So this one is not running. I actually rushed you on this, but you need to take your time to. I want you to take your time to watch the video. Ask questions, okay? I'm not going to teach you any other thing until you can do everything that is in this video, okay? the new project has started again, right? So you click on friend photos. Bam.
And how much?
Wait, I'm coming, Ibukun. So nothing, right? Oh, wait, let's wait. It's supposed to show something. Okay, it shows this, right? Okay. Okay. Let's just save this image as female 2. Samuel, take your Ibuku. Go and spend 300. You guys should bring me 400 naira change, right? So female 2, right? Let's save this as female 2. Okay? So this female 2. So let's add another female. So the friend we want to add right now is Alice, right? This photo. So female 2, right?
Yes.
Let's call it Alice photo, right? Date taking. Maybe the date taking was, let's say, 11th of June, right?
Yes.
So click save. What's going on here? There is an error. Cannot find component with name photo URL. So there is a bug there we need to fix. Okay. Let's go back to add friend. Add friend photo. Text is photo. Radzen file input. Name is called to friend. Okay, this is where the error is. So this required the component for this that required field validator that we are validating will also be friend photo. Okay. So that's where the error is. Okay.
Yes.
Now let me copy this required field validator. Let me go to edit friend photo. Okay. Photo is required. Text. Photo is what? Required, right?
Yes.
Then there is one more thing I will have loved us to do, and that is if you look at add friend photo, if you look at the Radzen drop down data grid, there is this columns property. Okay, so in which we are showing the columns that are being displayed for the drop down data grid are first name and last name, right? So let's look at, okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is, if you look at this, it has an end tag. Okay. So let's go first. Let's give this data grid an end tag. Okay. After giving it an end tag, now let's copy these columns. Okay. Okay. Are you following? So file save all. Now let's Let's create an end tag for the drop down data grid in edit friend photo as well. Okay? This is the drop down data grid, right? So in order to create end tag for it, we remove that slash there. Okay? Now let's copy these columns. Okay? So, all right. So let's do file, save all, right? So this is the last action, and we call it a day. Okay, run. You can see that we accomplished so much within a short space, right?
So you can use it for all this job in like job application.
So here we go again. Let's look at friend photos.
Only one. I will slap you.
So just one photo of Eve Miller, right? Let's say add. This time around, we can see two columns here again, right?
Yes.
Alice Johnson, right? Okay, so what photo do we want to choose? Let's choose photo. So let's say female 2. Okay? So female 2 is who? Alice. Photo description is Alice photo, right? Date taken is 11 June, right? So let's click save now. Are there still errors? Okay, it has saved actually. Okay. Okay, let's see what we have. Bam. So we have Alice and right. So let's stop it here. We'll continue next. We'll continue next lesson. So this is where we want to stop.